Hey, what's up? Adam Lobo here from Adam Lobo TV. Now, while most of us are looking for earbuds that plugs in nicely in the ears, that gives you passive and active noise cancellation, there are apparently some people who absolutely hate earbuds that goes all the way in their ears, and they also do not like active noise cancellation. Well, here's where this earbuds comes in, which is the third generation AirPods. And since the second generation AirPods is the highest selling earbuds in the world since it was released about 5 years ago, is this new third generation better? Well, let's find out. First, let's go through the unboxing process of the AirPods. Now, in a usual Apple fashion, the box comes in white with the new visuals of the AirPods earbuds in front. Then at the side below of the box, you'll see the variant that states that this is the third generation AirPods. Now, turning the box around, you will find another visual of the AirPods together with the charging case as well. And you'll see that Apple has stated that the charging case has the MagSafe charging capabilities. Then you'll find 2 tabs over on top and at the bottom of the box. Next, opening the box cover reveals the Designed by Apple in California card sleeve, which has the user guide inside. Then you'll find the charging case behind that. Then finally underneath, you'll find the USB-C to Lightning cable. Next, let's look at the build quality and the design. Now, starting from the case, it has a glossy finish very similar to the previous Gen 2 and the AirPods Pro, but the design is more of a horizontal arrangement instead of vertical, where this arrangement is very similar to the AirPods Pro. Now, if you have been subscribing to this channel, you would know that I've always preferred a matte finish since I normally use my earbuds during my cardio and my workout sessions, as glossy finishes tend to be a little slippery. And speaking of working out, these AirPods are IPX4 rated, so it is sweat and water resistant as well, both for the case and the earbuds. So with the earbuds inside, it is extremely light, just the right size to bring on the go. And yes, it does fit perfectly in that little coin pocket for your jeans. Next, looking at what's outside of the case, other than the light indicator in front, you'll find the lightning port below, and you'll find the pairing button at the back below the hinge. Then in terms of the durability, although I did a review of the AirPods Pro, since that was a review unit, I did not use it beyond a month. And similar to that, during my several weeks using these AirPods, I did find it very durable, as there were no noticeable scuffs or scratches due to its glossier finish. So that would be a plus on a glossier finish compared to a matte finish, so it kinda balances out. Now, the hinge is also very solid, where it did feel very premium when opening and closing the earbuds case. Now, as for the earbuds themselves, it is tucked nicely inside of the case magnetically, of course, and gone are the days of that super long stem design, which I wasn't a huge fan of, so I absolutely love this. And yet, a lot of companies followed the exact design of the second generation AirPods. Talk about being creative, as mentioned, almost everyone follows Apple's design. And this shorter stem, like the AirPods Pro, was such a welcoming design, which I really loved. And I did ask several of my peers, and like me, they do prefer this shorter stem compared to the longer ones available on the AirPods 2. Now, other than the speakers on the earbuds themselves, you'll find the proximity sensor, which has a skin detect feature to ensure that it only works on a skin compared to putting it on a surface where you don't want your music to be playing. Where, for example, if you put this in your pocket, where if you have your jeans or your pants covering the proximity sensor, it will immediately know that it should not resume the music since there is no skin that has been detected. Then you'll find the mesh-covered microphones to reduce wind noises. And don't worry, I will do a microphone test later on in this video. Then there's also the right or left indicator over there. Now, being a person who has never used a non-silicone ear tips earbuds, when I first put this in my ears, I was like, is it in?
That's what she said!
Because while it did fit perfectly in my ears with the great insertion angle, but I felt like it was going to come out, but surprisingly it didn't. Since it's not the type of earbuds that seal in tight to the ears, since it had an open design and a contoured soft edge. And of course, before going further, let's first do my usual Savan mode test. Oh my god, the pairing process. Now I'm saying oh my god in a very good way, as this is surely one of the main reasons why this AirPods sells like hotcakes, man. Because all I had to do is just to open the case of the AirPods, and within seconds the iPhone detects it, hit connect, and it's done. So yes, it is indeed a one-touch setup. Now what's sweet is that if you have all of your other Apple devices which is signed under the same Apple iCloud ID, you can switch between devices seamlessly as well. Which is something, once again, you will never understand how convenient it is until you really experience it. Then there's also audio sharing since iOS 13, which is a feature very unique to AirPods, and also the Beats headphones, where you can pair up to 2 sets of AirPods to enjoy music and movies at the very same time. Now as for app controls, once it is connected, there are 2 ways to adjust the AirPods. One is through the control center, where you'll find the controls just next to the brightness adjustments, and here's where you can adjust the overall volume. And here's where I found it very interesting, because even though if you're listening to a stereo audio mix, you can still toggle head tracking, which follows the direction of your head, similar to the AirPods Pro and the AirPods Max of course. And here's where you can adjust it to turn it off, keep it fixed, and head tracked as mentioned earlier, where once again it works extremely well both on a stereo mix and Dolby Atmos as well. And then the second way to get some app controls is through the Bluetooth settings, where firstly in here you'll find the name of the AirPods, which you can always change the name accordingly. Then you can also toggle the automatic ear detection, which uses the proximity sensor as mentioned earlier, which works flawlessly on the AirPods. Next, there's the automatic connection to toggle to your particular iPhone. Then there's the microphone selection to automatically switch to be always on or to either on the left or right. Below that, there's the optimized battery charging to reduce battery aging. Then there's the toggle for Find My Network to locate the AirPods, which is very similar to the AirTags experience but not as powerful as the AirTags of course, with the similar precision finding type of feature, where you can play a sound to find the AirPods, and since the sound is played through the earbuds instead of the charging case, it will sound louder if the AirPods are out compared to when it's inside the charging case, so keep that in mind. Then finally, there's the option to disconnect or forget the device. Now, as for playback controls, it is all done by the similar pinch controls to use the force sensors similar to the AirPods Pro. Okay, I just toggle the music. Did you hear it? How's the sound leakage? That was unintentional. Where a single pinch plays or pauses the media, or picks up or ends a call. A double pinch goes to the next track or rejects a call. A triple pinch goes to the previous track. And if you pinch and hold, it calls out Siri. And speaking of Siri, you can get Siri to also read your incoming messages as well, which works not only for iMessage but also apps like Instagram as well as direct messages. Now there's no volume control, so you need to call Siri to ask it to turn up or turn down the volume, or just manually control the volume on your phone. Now these volume controls, I did find it that I hardly use them even on a premium type of earbuds, because I usually set the earbuds volume to about 80 to even 90% all the time. Yep, I'm living on the edge, baby. So how does this new AirPods 3 or the Generation 3 sound then? Now firstly, the earbuds comes with the H1 chip, and this is not only what drives the AirPods for the overall pairing process, but also when it comes to the audio quality through the adaptive EQ as well. Now starting off with my music listening, I played a stereo mix with Daughtry's heavy rock song Evil, and even at volume at 2 steps down, it was very loud. And this is coming from a person who loves to enjoy music really loud without any distortion, so that was nice. The vocal projection was great and the bass was nice, but not too overpowering, and the high frequencies can sometimes sound like it was near peak, but it did maintain below the peak area, which was also really nice to know. Then I switched over to Billie Eilish Billy Bossa Nova, and here's where I could crank up the volume to max since it is played through the Dolby Atmos spatial audio, and like the AirPods Pro, it was such a great experience from every corner of the mix. Then I tested Blackpink's Lisa's La Lisa, and while the vocals and the mid frequency sounded really nice and balanced, here's where I felt that the Achilles heel was the bass, as it did sound great, but probably not enough for a typical bass lover, so keep that in mind if you really love that thumping bass in your ears. Now, as for movie watching, I had absolutely no complaints about it over here, whether or not you're just watching videos on YouTube or movies on Netflix, since there is head tracking on every movie that you watch, since Netflix supports that. Now, as for the microphone quality, firstly from a listener's perspective, it did sounded clear and overall sounded very clean and nice, and you can even change the microphone to either be on the left or right or automatically in the app as seen earlier. Now, the microphones are covered with a special acoustic mesh that helps to minimize wind noises, so you won't have that weird digital sound for your voice during phone calls, which most earbuds tend to do so. Now, with this super light form factor, I do see this as a regular hands-free calling earbuds or even during video calls, and that is exactly what I've been doing since I got these earbuds. But here is a quick microphone test during several situations.
Okay, I'm home. 2 ceiling fan turned on. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. I am outdoors. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. And of course, I'm testing the audio using a mask to see how it sounds. Okay, still wearing a mask. I'm in a shopping center environment. In a shopping center, and here's a microphone test. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Okay, so this is another microphone test. I'm on a rooftop, pretty windy, and this is another microphone test. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. No, I'm not having a shower.
Now, since I use the AirPods for two common situations when I use it daily, let me go through how I use it for the past several weeks. So right after shooting my unboxing of the AirPods, instead of typically using the earbuds for working out, I decided to use it for a casual situation, listening to the AirPods in a shopping mall environment since I was hosting an all-day event. Now, walking around the mall with Dolby Audio music played with my phone in my pocket was a very interesting and a great experience. And here's where you hear the dynamic head tracking in a very interesting way. And I always had that comfortable feeling just walking around the mall with this in my ears because it felt so light, as though that it wasn't there. And since the stem does not stick out like how the second generation was, it overall had a very low profile look, so you won't be making a statement by showing the world that you're listening to music, so it was a very humbling experience. And the more I go towards different areas of the mall, or even if I'm sitting down on a particular place, I notice the adaptive EQ to work extremely well too, where it really tuned the music based on what was going in my ears. Then I obviously use it for working out, and here's where I was pleasantly surprised, because once again I had this sort of feeling that the earbuds might come out, firstly when I was running, and to my great surprise it didn't. With the gym environment situations, the audio when it comes to listening to podcasts and watching videos on YouTube on a treadmill was very audible, which was great to know. Now, speaking of working out on a treadmill, one thing which I found it very hugely beneficial is that when I was watching videos on the iPad mini, and if I were to get a phone call while I was watching videos on the iPad mini, it will seamlessly connect the AirPods to my iPhone, so I don't have to unpair and repair both devices at the same time. And here's where once again you have to experience it to really understand how it feels. Then I proceeded to do some weight training, and here's where my initial feeling is that, okay, it's gonna come out. But I was super glad that during a full 45 minutes weight training session, there was never a point in time that it even come out. Now I do understand that some people do tend to wear earbuds, especially when doing some circuit training, and since I don't usually do circuit training, I decided to call my very close friend Lenora Low, who is a professional fitness instructor, to give us her overall experience since I'm not very into doing circuit training, especially as hardcore as she does.
What's up guys, it's Lenora. As a fitness nut and also a close friend of Adam here, I am going to be doing a test run of the AirPods Generation 3. So I'm going to see whether this baby can hold up to 3 explosive movements, which are some of my favorites that I do at my boot camps on Sundays, which is Academy 56, simple plugs over there. And the movements are burpees, jumping lunges, and side shuffles. So let's see how you fare. I have good feelings about this. Wait. Yeah, okay, let's get to it. Alright, so I've cooled off and I'm going to give you my conclusion of the AirPods Generation 3. So my makeup is kind of gone and my hair's in a mess, but check this out. The AirPods are still in my ear, and to be fair, I did not touch it at all. But let me break it down in sequence. First of all, I'm very surprisingly impressed with the design. The case, beautiful sound, which you see that I keep playing with, and the design is very sleek, but the thing that impressed me the most, there is no silicone or wingtips that comes with it, and you just have it fit in your ear. So at the very beginning, I went bloop like this to make sure that it really just stayed inside my ear, and I did not adjust it at all while I was doing any of those explosive movements, which is great. That means I am worry-free about it falling out of my ear. So good stuff. Second thing, I really like the sound quality. Now, I'm not an audiophile like Adam over here, but if you have really good bass, it's boom, boom, boom here and there, perfect. And that's exactly what I had. In fact, half the time I was shouting at Adam, hello, I can't hear you. And the third thing, fit. Like I said, I'm very, very impressed by this because it did not fall out at all and it stayed in my ear the whole time. And bear in mind, I'm a person that sweats a lot, especially when I do workouts at the park. I will mandi lah basically. So this has stayed in my ear. As I said, it did not budge at all. So I'm very impressed design-wise, sound-wise, and fit-wise. Well done. Can I have it?
Now as for the battery, during the keynote presentation, Apple has mentioned that this new AirPods gives us a total of 6 hours of listening time. And yes, during my continuous listening, I got an average of 6 hours and sometimes even more depending on the volume of your music listening. And you can get a total of 30 hours of listening together with the case, which was very much true. Then as for the charging option, other than the lightning port, you can also charge through the traditional I call it traditional like as though it's super old, but yes, through the traditional Qi wireless charging and also through MagSafe as well, where around 5 to 6 minutes of charge can give you about an hour of listening time, and that is something that I really appreciated. So in conclusion, should you get the AirPods 3 or the Generation 3, and who is this earbuds for? Well, based on my usage, as I clearly mentioned in this review, I personally think that the AirPods is a really perfect everyday earbuds. Now, besides doing an amazing job with the whole Apple ecosystem, they still do everything that you want to do well in every other aspect. And would I recommend these AirPods to you or any other people? Absolutely, as this would be the perfect choice if you're looking for an open style earbuds without having absolutely no ear fatigue, and if noise cancellation is not a real must for you. For me, this earbuds is an earbuds where the more I use it, the more I am really getting used to, especially on how reliable that it is, making it something that I would surely carry wherever I go, alongside my wallet and of course my iPhone as well. And if you're planning to get yourself one, I'll leave a link down below, as there is a 6 months free Apple Music subscription when you make a purchase as well. So if I had just one word to describe these AirPods, and that word is easy.